Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 173 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Mike and Marissa from Ace Screen Graphics in Texas. Let's go!
What's up, boo?
Hey there, birthday boy.
Dude, it's fucking chaos here right now.
Because, like, I know you have a lot going on. And then throw in a birthday.
Exactly. People are showing up and, like, wish me happy. Like, I feel bad, but I just totally fucking blew my mom off.
I mean,
she showed up at 11 a.m.
And she's, like, the person you shouldn't blow off on your birthday. The only person.
Yeah. I was supposed to be on with you at 11. My mom showed up at 11 and had like, she made like a dirt cake and had like presents. And I was like, thanks, I got to go. And like shoved her out of the way.
What's a dirt cake?
You never had dirt cake before?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you call it.
I don't know how to describe it. It's like, you ever seen where it's like crushed Oreos and something else. It's like makes like a kind of like a pudding pie cake kind of thing. And people put like gummy worms on top. So it looks like dirt. Like, because the top is all like crushed, like the cookies of Oreos.
Oh, okay.
And then you put stuff in it to make it look like dirt. So a lot of people bake it, or they don't bake it at all, but like you make it in like a planning pot.
Oh.
And then you put like dirt and stuff, or like, yeah, you put actual dirt in it. No, you put like fucking gummy worms and shit in it to make it look like dirt.
Okay. Well, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's good. My mom always makes it. Dude, literally everybody here brought me food for my birthday. Like every person here baked me something. There's like pies and fucking apple crisp and like donuts. And there's like, I'm like, you guys all just think I'm this fucking fat fuck and I need all this food.
I think it's like when you get a certain age, you know, like what do you get somebody that has everything, you know? And so especially now.
That's the truth of it is that I'm that guy where like if I want anything in life, I just go get it and I buy it or whatever. So like buying me a gift sucks.
Including a laser, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a laser here today.
Yeah. Because I was going to get you that for your birthday. I was like, you know, laser or a boo basket, which is sitting somewhere in your office.
It's right here across from me. Yeah. And I didn't bring it near me. So now I got to get up and get it.
Well, there's a lot of good stuff in there that have.
All right. Hold on. I'll get it. Hold on. Give me a second.
Okay.
Kevin, I told Kevin to be, because he's here right now. We've been hanging out for the last couple of days. I told him to hop in for this, but right now they're like right in the middle of trying to figure out some file situation. So I don't know if he's going to make it or not, but he's here. We've been broing it out for a couple of days. All right, hold on. Hey, Kevin's here.
Hey, Kev.
Okay. Squat.
Hey, buddy.
Hey there. Where's my laser?
Talk, maybe.
Hey, buddy.
We're going to get real close and intimate.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Hey.
There he is.
Can you hear my voice? Is it
it's
soothing?
Sexy.
Oh, yeah.
It's soothing.
So sexy and soothing.
In here.
I got Big D over there, or Little D, I like to call him when we're just hanging out. I got
Depends
him
on the hand size.
I got him I got him a boo basket, you know, it's sitting over there and it has fragile stickers all over it, just like his feelings, right?
Right. All right. I'm gonna fucking drop everything. Here, Kevin, you hold this and pull the things out. We're too intimate over here.
Wow, this is great video. For those of you watching,
hey boo on top.
Well, I think it's
a little throw blanket.
Look at that, how cozy that's going to be.
It's a good color too. So if I am not wearing pants, then no skid marks. It's perfect.
You should get Kev a chair. Like, how rude are you? He's just supposed to.
He has a great ass. He doesn't need a chair.
Yeah, get him a little chair.
What do we got there? Is that lube?
Oh, yeah.
Some Goodfellow body lotion.
I mean, everybody needs that, you know. And
what am I? Do you think I'm a late 30s fucking housewife?
Basically, you are. Basically, you are. Hey there.
Hand towels that say "Hey Boo" on them.
Yep. You got a blanket. You got lotion. You got some hand towels. You know where this is going.
Candles.
Oh, well,
I
that's
got a
like a
food
little
candle?
pail that you can do. I liked it because it looked like it was from Van.
Can I use this? Can I use this as my spitter?
Is it big enough?
Candle.
Okay, what do we
that?
got? Oh, a little soap.
Soap?
Because you're dirty.
Mhm.
You think I'm fucking dirty?
Real
Well, you
dirty.
know, you gotta get the
What is
yourself
this?
clean.
Pumpkin ice cubes.
Pumpkin. Yeah.
That
pumpkin
one was
is
more
shitty.
Joanne than me. She said he's gonna love this, and I thought if he doesn't like it, his kids will.
This.
We'll use it for Jello shots, Joanne.
Okay.
What is that?
I don't know about this one.
Dunkin'
That's a little.
Yeah, look at
pumpkin
that.
spice graham crackers.
I mean, you know,
Goldfish?
it's fall, and I know how you love the pumpkin spice.
Dude, this is such upstate New
Kev,
York
can you
white
hear
lady
me?
stuff.
Can you hear?
He can't.
He can't.
Donuts.
Oh, look at
No,
that.
donuts.
Maple.
More food,
Pumpkin.
thanks. And
That
a wicker
sucks.
basket.
Well, yeah, you got the basket. You put it all in there, and you're good
Okay,
to go.
hey, let's put all this in the basket.
Mhm.
Thanks, babe. Appreciate
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
You're the best. Tell Joanne I
It's,
said I love her.
It's better than a laser, really, because it's.
This is probably going to get the most use, honestly, out of everything.
Mhm.
It'll be gone.
It'll be gone by tomorrow, yeah. me and Kevin will be moisturized.
Perfect. Yeah, I didn't know he was going to be there, but it just works out.
Okay, get in here.
Put the other one in your.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That's only science.
Now you can hear. It's good that you have somebody smart there to help you.
Yeah, Kevin's way fucking smarter than me.
Headphones are hard.
Mhm.
Yeah. So hey,
Hey.
did you ever, when you first started making screens, like your very first 10 screens, let's say, did you ever think that you would have a machine like a laser that made your screens?
No.
No,
Yeah.
I'm close.
Like that wasn't even a thought or even a possibility. Like I'm gonna have a laser someday to make this shit.
No.
I'm pretty sure that's the same answer anybody would give you that's been doing it
Hmm.
for as long as any of us have.
hmm
True. Yeah, get that
We
mic a
were-
little closer.
We were discussing yesterday how like keeping a exposure unit for post expose, and I was like, oh, I could go get my old exposure unit that I have that has like daylight bulbs in it and shit. And then it made me think of like how we used to do films out of like the old Epson printer and everything. And then,
Mhm.
you know, then we went to the iImage and had that for forever. And now we're shooting laser beams.
Yeah, I started personally started with Casey's Vellum through a laser printer on a DIY light table that was exposure unit that was just terrible. That it was. I took some ballasts, you know, from some shop lights or whatever.
Yeah, that's basically
And-
what this is. It's got like daylight bulbs from Home Depot in it.
Well, I didn't even have daylight bulbs. Do you mean like UV daylight bulbs or just bulbs that just won't really expose the screen in the like 20
No,
minutes or something?
They were UV bulbs.
Okay, I didn't even have that. I didn't know, you know, but I figured it out one day, 10 years later or whatever. But hey, congrats. I know that's a big deal. And I think it's the biggest deal of all is just to graduate from ink on screens, because I think that that's a challenge, you know, and it does. Yes, you can make a lot of screens and you can make good screens, but it's just such a challenge, you know, every single day, day in and day out.
Well,
So
the funny thing is we remember going from film to the iImage, and then I told the story before, but we did like, I think it was like some horror guy's face or whatever, and it had like a bunch of halftones in it, and then we printed it like a week later on the CTS, and we were like, oh my god, like the amount of detail we're getting out of this is amazing. And then yesterday Kevin was doing like burn tests to see like exposure times and stuff, and even the first one was underexposed. But
Yeah,
even,
the first one's a
but
little
even looking
underexposed.
under a loop, we were like, these fucking lines and halftones are perfect, like
Mhm.
literally perfect circles.
yeah, I
Like-
can't wait till you make a screen that just says like volunteer and like Helvetica on that laser. It's going to be dope.
It definitely is. It's gonna have such crisp edges.
Yeah, I mean those lines and those corners.
I mean, we can make that font super tiny though.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it could be like volunteer and you wouldn't even see it. It'd be so small until you put a loop on it.
Mm.
Okay, nice.
It's awesome though. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to it though, like the line and the dots, but also like my darkroom has so much more room in it now.
because it's more vertical than it is, I guess. Well, ours is too. You know, so when we went from the iMage to our wax, our Douthit, we gained all that space just like you. It is. And then you gained the light table or the exposure unit. Yeah. Wow. That's even more.
So I said, so it was nice. The funny thing was this, you know this, we talk all the time about how like when you get equipment delivered, you're like high anxiety because like the truck and like getting a forklift and like all this other stuff. So maybe the truck came, called the guy next door for the forklift. Like that was all flawless. Like they came, got it, like surprisingly came off the truck easy, got it in the building pretty easy. And then me and Bill are here and we're like, all right, let's start like uncrating everything and whatever, get it like uncrated. And then it's got this like, that was something too, like Bill was talking about, it was super well crated. And on the outside of the crate, they have tools to take the crate apart, which I've never seen before. And I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. So
it's like one of those shitty Allen wrenches that are like this big.
It was like an Allen wrench, but it was like a Y. Yeah. And then they had the bit for like the drill. But like you could just take bolts out of the bottom of the crate and then the whole top of the crate picks up off of it. Yeah. Like no crowbars, no like busting it apart or using sawzalls or anything.
Have you ever heard of something called show crated? Do you know what I mean by
like
that?
For like trade show stuff where you can put it back together?
Yeah, I got something on a beta twice now where it's called show crated, and you just like, you kind of do that same thing where you just take the front off. They have the circles, you have the screws that you need to unscrew circled, and you just take those off, and then the crate stays intact so that you can put the thing back in and then put the front on again. You know what I mean? It's kind of sounds like that a little bit.
So the funny thing is we took it all apart and then it's wrapped in this like almost aluminum foil kind of like wrapping. And then it has like plastic wrap and all this other stuff. So we took all that off and Kevin calls me because he just got to the airport. He's like on his way here. And I was like, yeah, dude, we got it all uncrated. He's like, yeah, just make sure you don't take all that plastic off. And I was like, well, that's too fucking late. Like it's already all done.
Basically, I was trying to make sure it doesn't have electrostatic shock. So mess up any of the electronics.
Yeah, like they want to ground it first before you take it all off. Everything went super smooth as far as getting it in, and you know, Kevin got it all in, and we got it leveled and ready to go by the end of the day. And then yesterday was dialing everything and did EOM and new emulsion, and today we're gonna start making some screens.
What emulsion are you using now? You said new.
It's the Hydro XZ1. So it's new to these guys. It's a pure photopolymer. It's water resistant. It works extremely well with the laser based on the wavelength of that emulsion. But you don't have to use it with the laser. I've got tons of people that are using it in standard exposure units, or, you know, just like what you're using with your wax system. And
you're using what, Chroma Blue?
Blue, yeah. So is what you're using also? Is it like dual? So it's universal in that it can be water based and
yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep. Even if you're not doing water base, the wavelength is designed more towards the light spectrum of that laser diode or LED exposure unit. So if you're using LED, it's going to work great with that, which is very similar to the wavelength of the lasers.
Is that like around 300, or what is the laser?
Like 405.
Oh, I was way off. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, so that's always smart, isn't it? Because I think there's so many people that they try to choose their emulsion based on the wrong data. I think, like, first you have to start with what light are you using? Like, what light source are you using? You know, I think that's really important, isn't it?
Yes. I would even take that one step further. I think the very first thing I look for is the type of inks that you're using. So if you're just using plastisol inks, any emulsion is going to work with plastisol inks. But when you start to get into water-based or solvent-based UV, it needs to be resistant to those more aggressive ink systems.
Right. And so now I guess you're going to have to adjust your reclaim slightly, or were you already using?
We already did a little bit just because we did the dip tank before it goes through the blue water. Okay. And the what was it? It was even faster. It sped up our times. Our dip times were like cut in half.
Reclaim so much easier.
Yeah. From what we were using before. Yeah, well, we were adding diazo into everything before, and we don't have to now. And it just like it dips in like half the time. So
that's nice. Cool too. So that's a bonus.
It was a bonus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we make easy way look easy.
Yeah. He makes it even easier.
Even easier.
Even easier.
Hmm.
How's it going at the Kong? I don't want this all to be about me. I know it's my birthday and all, but it's
I think today
share the wealth a little bit.
Well, hey, I appreciate you asking that. That means a lot. But today is your day. This is about you.
I don't want it to be.
Yeah, well, it is.
Like the attention.
Too bad. Too bad. I wish my birthday was in the fall, better weather. Mine.
You should have told your mom to.
Well, she would have had to hold me in for a long time. July is like too long, too far from. We're having a heat wave here. What's it like there?
It was 40 this morning when I walked around the lake.
Did you want to walk with him, Kevin? Were you with him?
He did not.
I wanted to, but I didn't.
There's always tomorrow. Tomorrow morning. Well, let's do it.
Yeah.
It was super dense fog this morning. I was waiting for a creature to come out of the lake and grab me and pull me back in.
Yeah, you called me last night and we had severe thunderstorms, rolling in, and there was so much hail.
Happy
birthday.
Hey. Thanks. My dad's here.
Simon, right?
I told you I'd be out here between 11 and 1.
Well, get him on the pod.
Thank
Come
you.
Mm-hmm.
Just work.
Good.
Yeah.
I was gonna check out your new machine.
It's in there.
Okay.
I'll be out in a little bit. Thanks, Dad. See ya. It's nonstop today.
Yeah. Birthdays are a blessing and a curse. Both. When you're a kid, like they're the greatest thing in the world. That's what the day you wait for, basically. But now it's like, man, birthday.
Yeah.
Yep. My daughter's birthday is next week, and she's all jacked up for party and everything like that. So the planning is real fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, I think it's just still, the surge. It's like our busiest time of year, and it's sustaining. Dude, it's good.
We are busy, and we've gotten probably a call a day from other shops being like, we have too much to do. Can we send you work?
Yeah.
We don't normally do contracts, so it's kind of weird to, some of it's cool. Like I'll take it if it's from a print shop, just because usually everything's like dialed.
So you're saying yes?
To some, not all.
Because you told Amber to say no.
Yeah, for shit work that she can't do.
Oh, by the way, so I told you this last night, I think, but here's a big announcement. Kevin doesn't know this. Joanne is doing the t-shirt design for the women in screen printing that they're going to unveil in, and I think also live print in Atlanta. Yeah, at Printing United. She's home, like working on that right now.
Nice.
And Dylan
tell her to make it like 36 colors and like super complicated.
The max color count I think is 3, but you gave her some direction last night. You want to share that with everyone? What you said it should be? Well, don't.
Why?
It's probably a really bad idea.
I don't.
Never mind.
Maybe I shouldn't say it because I don't want to ruin the surprise.
You are sponsors. Don't say it, Dylan. Frank wished you an early happy birthday yesterday.
He did, I know.
Yeah, and he said that we were fucking losers for eating cereal with no sugar.
Without sugar.
Yeah. Dylan, it all starts with the screen, and whether it's restretches or new stretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out more, go to What was I saying? Going. Yeah. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, FFFFF.
Rank.com.
Or
greatfuckingscreens.com.
Want some nuts?
That's not nuts. That's MDMA.
Look, cleaning screens is no fun, but Easyway makes it way more funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier. Check them out at easyway.com. Easyway.
It's the easiest way. Well, is it the even easier way?
Now, yeah.
Now, yeah.
I mean, I would think that you've done this enough times. You wouldn't have to read these sponsor lines anymore.
He's old though. His memory isn't as good as it used to be.
Yeah, the hard drive's full, Kevin.
Delete.
Yeah, I gotta start forgetting more stuff. Make room. You know, if you or your art department could use some love, then you need to go to 1-900-HotStuff.com and get in touch with Nick or Lucas at Graphics Source and let them run your art department so you can focus on running your
Mouth.
God, I thought for sure you were going to say laser.
Kevin said he'll be at your shop next week setting up yours. So
That's cool. We're here. We're waiting. We're here at Chromaline. What do we do? What do we say?
Kevin, what's new and exciting at Chroma?
Lasers.
Yeah.
Lasers are new and exciting. Yeah, I mean, go check out my Kev's vids, as you've heard before on here. If there's something out there that you personally want to see done or have me dive into a little bit deeper, reach out and reach out and let me know. I'll take tips, and I'm happy to do more videos on whatever. So if there's things in the screen room that people are lost on, reach out, let me know. I'll do more vids, and in the time being, watch the vids that are out there already. But yeah, Chromaline, we got a full line of Chromaline products, emulsions, chemicals, lasers, everything that you need for your screen room. We've got for you.
Kev's got it.
We've got it.
I love how you say emulsion. You say it different than most.
Emulsion. Emulsion. How do you say it? Emulsion.
It's more of a shun. So like emulsion.
More like
Emulsion.
I guess
However
it's
you say
Minnesota or Wisconsin, Minnesota, wherever you're from.
I'm from Wisconsin originally. Now I'm in Minnesota. So the best of two bad accents mixed together is basically where I'm at.
Right. And like, and for real, if you're sort of like what we mentioned a minute ago, if you're unsure of the correct emulsion to use, or you're not sure you're using the right one currently, you can get a hold of Kevin and you can kind of go through that. I don't know what you'd call it, a matrix or a chart or whatever to choose the best one. You know, like he said, what kind of inks are you using? And then what kind of light source do you have? What are you trying to achieve? You know, this sort of stuff, because there's an answer and you can get there. And just because your friend or the shop down the street or whatever, or your distributor has a certain emulsion doesn't mean it's the right one.
Absolutely. Or if it gets enough likes on Facebook.
That's right.
I feel like most of the time it's the distributor. It's like who you're using, and they're like, "Oh, we sell this one. Use this one." It might not be the best one for you, but I mean, it might be all right. But
it might be
as long as they carry Chromaline, I think it'd be fine.
Yeah. So if you were here at our summer camp, Kevin was here in our screen room, and he, I think it was 50 minutes or 45. I can't remember. Each station, and it could have been 2 hours, or it could have been all day. Actually,
Kevin went over on all of them.
He was the problem.
Yeah, he was the problem.
Yeah, he was the problem.
It's me. I'm the problem.
So look, if you're not using DTF or screen print transfers in your shop, then you are a
weak being.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, you're a weak being. I mean, look, we've partnered with Howard Custom Transfers to get you the transfer you need fast. Check them out at howardct.com. I did a little video for Bruce Ackerman over there at Printavo yesterday for an internal meeting about our struggle this year and what I foresee like the struggle being next year, or challenges anyway. And my big thing was DTF. Like, you need to be in the DTF game. And so Howard can help you. Our guest is here. Should we get going?
Yeah. Kevin's got to get back to work anyway.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, always.
Yeah. Great seeing
See
you.
you a little bit.
You look fantastic. I love the shirt. I almost wore that today. Same one.
I went to the SNS thing, and the only thing I packed was that shirt. I have 3 of them, and I only brought that shirt the whole time.
Oh, you took 3 that day? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I just wore them the entire time.
Today, we are chatting with Mike and Marissa from Ace Screen in San Antonio, Texas. Yeah. I think it's Ace Screen Graphics, though. I might have left off the graphics part.
I think Ace Screen sounds cool.
Does sound cool.
Guys.
What's up,
Hey.
guys?
What's up?
Hi.
How are y'all?
Do you guys have your chairs staggered so you both get beautiful daylight from the windows?
We're just in our sunroom right now, so it's just beautiful sunlight. Yeah. It's
I love
good.
it.
The sun's beaming in right now, so it's good lighting right now.
It's a good time of the day.
Yeah.
Can
So
you,
what's going on, guys? How's today?
Oh, today's good. We're just chilling. The team is busy at the shop, and we do a lot of work from home these days. So we're just kind of hanging out and just through the power of cloud-based technology that we finally embraced, or my wife finally made me embrace. We work from home a lot these days.
Yeah.
So it's been good. So we're just chilling, man. We're just having a good time.
That's awesome.
How are y'all?
let's see. I'm having a good day, back day, that is. I got off the Advil for 5 days. Like, that was an achievement. That's the longest streak off of ibuprofen this entire year, which is really bad because, you know, you're not supposed to take it as much as I have been, but I've really had no choice. But I went 5 days and then I had to take them, started taking a little bit yesterday because it just, I don't know, I wasn't feeling great. But today is a great back today. Yeah. So
what is, I don't think we're out of the loop. Did something happened to you, or something happened?
yeah. So I herniated.
He's a minotaur now in the process of forming a horse to his lower half. didn't quite work out as good.
It hasn't fused the way it should have.
Okay,
the
got it.
transition didn't go proper.
Okay.
Mm. But yeah,
He doesn't quite gallop like he should.
I hurt my back. I have a herniated disc. And it's no fun. I don't recommend it, but I'm working my way through it, as you have to in life, right? You have to figure it out, but
Sure.
it's given me a whole new perspective on health, which I think was, I don't know, maybe it's for a reason. It should have happened. I've lost 14 pounds because of it, because I got off the sugar.
Wow.
I should say added sugars. I got off added sugars because of inflammation, and I've lost a little bit of weight. My diet is better, and I have, I don't know, maybe there's some sort of opportunity here that I just don't know. I don't know yet, but hopefully maybe there's an opportunity.
Well, that's what good entrepreneurs do, man. They take lemons and they make lemonade, man. So that's just what you're up to. That's all.
That's right.
It's funny that you said that, because I haven't heard that saying in a while, and I just used it yesterday. Like, I have a plant in my window that I guess it's a bonsai tree. But it's like super overgrown at this point, because I think you're supposed to trim them. Yeah. And it's like busting out of my window. And yesterday, Brian came into my office and was like, dude, your tree is growing something. Like, there's these two little like balls growing, like something is growing off of it. And I was like, dude, how rad would that be if this is a fucking lemon tree?
Nice.
That's fun.
So, and I was like, man, if life gives you lemons, and then now you said life gives you lemons. So see, this is what you mean, Andy. This is the
That's just confirmation. Yep.
right. It's the universe right now.
It's a sign.
It's the right thing. Yep.
So you said you are able to work from home a lot now, and I've been doing the same thing because, you know, with my injury, it's been like the best thing to do is to sometimes, driving is difficult, and standing, because this is what I'm doing right now. I'm at a standing desk. Standing all day is also hard. And so like working from home has been something I do. I wouldn't say half the time, but a third right now. I didn't used to be able to do that. Just even, I guess, last year, really. Wow. And so now, like you said, it's not only cloud based, because that's really important, right? You have to be able to, get into your emails. You have to, I don't know, we use some software that I can track production. I know what's going on, all this sort of stuff. I can communicate with our team because of those things. But also you have to have a team that can do stuff, that is responsible, that some key roles, like who's going to open and turn on the lights, who's going to close and turn off the lights. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I guess you guys have both of those things in place now.
We sure. Yeah, we really do. You can brag about Caitlin for a little while.
Well, yeah, Caitlin, she's grown into kind of our right-hand person over the past several years. She's been with us, 5 years?
Yeah, she started 19 with us right before COVID broke off. So she saw us when we were super busy, and then she saw us basically get cut into a third of what we were. And then she sees us happier these days. So, and then now she's on board, and we're approaching our 20th anniversary. November will be 19 years, and then next year it'll be our 20th. And we've been telling our employees that that's going to be a fork in the road for us. Like, we're not sure where it goes after that, because we like doing other things other than just printing, So I think when they heard that, and we have a very talented pressman too, and we're down. So we were a 2 auto shop, and then when COVID popped off, we were already downsizing, and anyway, forced it to happen faster. And now just with that small crew, we're just super tight and we're super efficient, and we're doing almost the same numbers with one press. I mean, not exactly, because that's impossible. I'm not going to be like, oh, we're doing 3 times what we did, because that's bullshit. We're not. But we're pretty close to where we were with 2 autos with just a highly efficient team that knows what they're doing. So, and it's just, then there's 3 people in the mix. And so that's what we're trying to figure out how to manage these days. And it's just been pretty easy, so it's been fun.
Yeah. But they handle basically everything from like basic stuff, like opening up, turning everything on to, checking what's needed for that day, for that morning, whatever it is. So yeah, Caitlin, Caleb, and now our son, he's working with us full time. They're running the shop for us. And, I handle sales on the background and stuff like that, customer service, stuff like that. But everything's really done on my end from home, really.
For the most part.
And we just kind of communicate as needed. I check in with the team, or we do. We have our meetings, our weekly meetings, stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So we kind of get a scope of the week. We kind of talk about things that are still needed, whatever.
Yeah. Those Monday meetings have been big for us, and we've been doing those for like 5 years now. Mm-hmm. We started them when we had 2 autos, and we were working on the big order in South Texas or San Antonio to get us the Fiesta. Well, we got the Spurs, right? But that's all hot market, like super low margin printing, right? So, but the Fiesta order is usually pretty cool and it's fun. And then anyway, those are the set of guys who did a really cool piece of art, and we got the order in 2018 for the 19 shirts. And that's when it was like a 40,000 piece run of like 10 color prints, like 8 different prints. And anyway, we gave them the go away pricing, and we gave them a sample to go with it, and they picked us because nobody got close to their samples, or to that sample. And then we're like, oh, we're a 2 auto shop, we're gonna blow this thing up, and then we're just very quickly not very happy. Yeah, exactly. So and it just seems to be like a very common thing that we hear a lot nowadays. I wouldn't be against getting another auto, but it wouldn't be just to like staff it and grow the company. It would be so that way we could leave sleeve pallets on it, or half sleeve, half youth, and something like that. But it would have to come like almost free from a shop that's closing down. We're not gonna push ourselves to grow that way again.
The question I have with kind of piggybacking off of Andy's is like the working from home thing is like, I get to a degree that seems like the thing to do. Like, okay, I'm kind of downsizing and I'm getting myself to where I'm comfortable to just like be home and work from home, and I have a crew that can run the shop itself. But isn't there a part of you that just misses the like running around or the grind or going to the office or
Yeah, we definitely get our fill on. So Mondays we get there about 11, and we probably normally stay till like 4 to 5ish. So we're still very hands on. I'm still mixing inks. I'm still putting my hands on the press and giving advice, and then we're involved in the sales. And so it's not like we don't go the rest of the week. We just like, unless they need us, they don't call us. Mm-hmm. So and we just have to let go. Like I'm a control freak, and it's done at our. Well, I shouldn't even say like I wasn't worried about that growth, but it's done at our growth as like individuals to be able to like grow a business and be able to like step away for a little while. But it's just like, man, sometimes and it was just circumstance. Like we had an employee that even my pressman now, he was a young kid, and we hired him because my employee at the time, he was going on vacation, or actually he was having back surgery. I'm sorry, because of he had gotten hurt in the oil field. The oil's that big down here in Texas, right? Got hurt in oil, and I knew him before he went to the oil field. Long story short, we hired this kid. My employee leaves on vacation in 2020 and doesn't ever come back. He dies of COVID, So, and then this kid, I was a mess. I checked out for almost 2 years, really, I guess. And then I had a real bad like survivor's guilt because he had young kids, and like I'm like, dude, how does that happen? It was just
it's terrible.
It was a really bad time, yeah. And then, but it. Again, circumstance, like my wife steers the company for 3 years and gets us on a better track. So if is that what made you guys want to start downsizing?
Kind of. We were kind of already on that track before Ted passed. His name was Ted. And they had him, and they were kind of working on a plan to start downsizing and, bringing it into a little bit more of a manageable space where it just maybe 5 to 6 employees could do it. And then and then he passed.
COVID happened,
COVID happened. COVID kind of stopped everybody. And then, when he passed, we kind of just, when we came back together and said, we're going to continue this on, we want to still do this. That's when we kind of said, well, let's continue the path we were already on set with Ted, and let's just continue doing that. And we've kind of just, we've been on
we've pretty much willed it into existence. It's really hard. I think screen printers, we're all cut kind of from the same fabric, and we're very knuckleheaded, and we're very I feel like screen printers could literally will things into existence, and I feel like sometimes you'll do that with prints, and sometimes you'll do that with, meeting deadlines and staying up till 4 a.m. getting steps right. But we won't do that with training with people, or stepping away or letting people make, we just had a big mistake this morning. I was that's why we're a couple of minutes late. It wasn't a big mistake. It was a mistake. It doesn't matter. Now, after 20 years, when you make a mistake, they're all big mistakes in my head, because how are we still making mistakes at this point? But it's a print shop, and I had to let that go and be like, dude, as long as you own a print shop, there's going to be mistakes. You can't avoid that. So it's just about using those as training opportunities and stuff, So so it's been a very hard, long road these last 3 years, but I feel like we're in a position to kind of do what we want. And so we're going to let the employees try to man that place, and we'll all get on some type of base thing. And then as the company does well, we all do well. And if mistakes are made, we're never going to, I've never taken $1 out of any of my employees' pockets for mistakes. I can't do that to them. I'm not saying that's the right way to go, but we just made that decision years and years ago, just because the only people who do.
Does anybody actually do that? I know that's a thing where people are saying,
I've heard people but I've never done it. We've never done it.
I wouldn't imagine you guys. That doesn't surprise me for y'all to say that, but yes, there's definitely shop owners in San Antonio who anytime a mistake is made, it comes out of their employees' checks.
So I know that in Missouri is illegal. So you cannot withhold anything from you cannot withhold anything from a paycheck besides something that they agree to, like healthcare.
I see.
Or something that's mandated, sometimes there's garnishments or something like that, but you can't withhold anything in the state of Missouri. I don't know what it's like in Texas, but every state.
Texas has no rules.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think
it's all cowboys down here.
Yeah.
But even if it were,
you run into the mariachis and it gets even rowdier,
I was going to say, even if it were legal, we could do that, I don't think we should, because if a mistake happens, it's my fault. And I say that, I'm sincere when I say that. And of course there's something called negligence, and then you're going to have to take care of a patterned negligent employee, that's hey, wait a minute, you're screwing up, consistently. Well, then that's a problem. But I think the mistakes are a breakdown in the systems in some way, some in a process, I think. And so I think that it isn't their fault. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right. No, and then when they show me the job notes, I'm the one who wrote those job notes. And so we called for PMS colors. And then, of course, PMS colors on a computer screen and then PMS colors on a teal shirt with a halftone under base changes, right? So, and then, of course, it's always, at this point in the game, it's always the perfect storm. Nobody's at fault. We're kind of all at fault, Mm-hmm. So, it's I did it because she was on vacation. And, of course, when you're the owner, you're doing 50 things at once, not just the thing, But even our employees, I don't put that on them, because they're probably usually doing 5 things at once in order for us to run the way we run, But it's manageable, I think. And we ask them all the time, hey, are we overloading y'all? What's going on? They're like, no, dude, they're happy, they're learning, and they want it, and they're young. And so
it's really funny that you say that, because I think where I'm at in my life and with the shop and all this other stuff being open for 14 years, that
that's a long time.
I feel like you don't know what you don't know. And that's why when we talk to older print shops, they always say that they want to go back to, the 2 press, 10 press thing or whatever, depending on the kind of person or, their attitude at that point. But I feel like when they want to go back to being the 2 auto shop, they realize what employees are key employees that they definitely never want to get rid of, and what ones are I don't really need that person. It's shitty to say, but like you said, downsizing. So that was going to be my next question to you, is the whole downsizing thing. And we did that. We've done that over the last 2 years now. People that were here, but just not really, they don't really want to work for you, or they just, it's a paycheck to them. We kind of weaned out those people. And now, like you mentioned earlier, I feel like with adding certain pieces of equipment and really bumping up those people who are key employees, being like, hey, we're going to give you more benefits, we're going to give you more money, we're going to do this. Like, I really want to take care of those core people. I feel like we're outputting, if not the same amount of work, more work than we were when we had like 5 more people.
Yeah.
Because those key people that want to be here are fucking stoked to be here. They like coming to work. The tunes are on, good vibes, like high fives, shit like that. And I feel like we're cranking out more work now with less people. So that was my question on your downsizing. Was that intentional because you felt like it would be more efficient, or was it downsizing because you're slowly starting to be like, we just don't want to grow this anymore, and we eventually want to get it to the point where it runs itself, or you sell, or whatever you want to do with it?
Yeah, I would say a little bit of all of those approaching your 20, to be honest. Yeah, all of it, you know. Like we're late. I always tell people like we're like we're born in the 80s and we grew up in the 90s, and I just feel like everything we were taught about business was all bullshit. Like it was all lies. Like all the books we read back then, like all the ways, like don't and social media, like we started pre-social media, so it was just like I knew it was me and her and some friends that I knew, and then the shops that we learned how to print at, and that was it. And then everybody back then was super secretive too. Nobody really shared information. If you went to somebody else's print shop, like to drop off an order, they'd stop you in the front office. Like they treated everything like it was a secret. So, yeah, I guess just, I don't know, we started from the ground up and we're here now. And then, we chased this number that we never hit. We've never been even at 2 autos and close, but with part-timers, we're like 10 people. Like we never were $1 million shop. And for a long time, I felt like a failure for that until I started talking to people that were like, well, we do what we do, but like, dude, we travel, like I fish a lot, like we own homes with an S, like I guess we're doing something right. So, but we're just not like, we're not, and we're true grassroots. Like we started printing because it was fun, and I guess we want to end printing. Yeah. Fun,
I feel like the thing with that it kind of frustrates me when I hear people talk about stuff like that is people really need to get the dick measuring thing out of their head. Like, there's all these places too that are like, oh, I'm a fucking, I make a $10 million shop and like all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, but how much of that 10 million do you take home?
You take home, exactly.
Like you have all this expenses and all this crazy shit and all these employees. And it's like, yeah, you might bring in 10 million, but you're spending 9 on expenses.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
what is actually in your pocket?
That's obviously one of the reasons why we started that downsizing journey, was because yes, we made after our biggest order, after expenses, it was like, what are we, like really, this is all that's left? Like we're just done working this hard for not much more. So that started, I think that was one of the main things that started that journey. And then COVID kind of stopped everything in its tracks. And then we were doing 3 days a week, 4 days a week. And I don't know, we just kind of like, why would we ever go back to a full week of work when we don't have to? Our employees are happy. Everybody's good where we're at. So I think that was a major turning point for us, was just like, there's not more money and we're working more, we're working harder. So what's the point?
Yeah. And then it's our wiring too. Like I know, I don't want to be like doom and gloom for people who are trying to grow. Like we also know shop owners who run more than one auto, but they're wired different. So I think you just have to, if you're not happy, then you grow and then you get less happy, then, I just pay attention to that and don't.
Ted's passing too kind of brought things in perspective as well. What are we working so hard for? Life's too short. So
yeah, he was a very good. He was a little bit older than me. He was a couple years older than me, and I knew him and his brother. They moved from South Texas to San Antonio, which is like kind of more central, closer to Austin. But they were just very old school. They started printing in like the mid-90s, and so their mentality was very different. Like they were happy with their 4-color 4-station caps press and a flasher. And they were printing for like a lot of cool people in San Antonio before anybody was doing anything cool. And those are the guys who I kind of clinged on to, and they taught me about art and SEPs like in the late 90s. But they just never grew a big company, and they always just kind of stayed in their garage. And I always thought, man, like it would be a dream to like one day hire these guys. And then we did. We hired them both one day,
Mm-hmm.
And then but then it just took all that magic out. Like it was all production, and it was just like, man, these guys are like, they sculpt and they paint and they do all this stuff, and we're printing for Academy all day long. Like, what are we doing? So there was just, and San Antonio is just not that hip. Like, I mean, it's getting there. Like, the city's changing very quickly, but in the early 2000s, there was not much cool stuff going on in San Antonio. I mean, there was a lot of culture here, and the city's great about that. But like, as far as the art scene or anybody willing to pay in those days more than $4 to $5 a shirt, it just didn't exist. So it just pushed us into basically a lot of contract work and chasing those university, 2,000 to 5,000 piece orders that really just ran us and our team into the ground, for low margins. And we just did it for too long, and we didn't know better. So I feel like it, like y'all show gives people a platform to let people know, like, hey, again, if you want 10 autos and you got it like that and you can manage that and that makes you happy, then cool. But if you're at a manual press and you're taking, doing 3 days a week and taking a month off at the end of the year and you're feeding your family and you have a place to live, then man, I'd be real careful about doing something else.
I think the thing though too is like, and Andy, we've talked about this a bunch of times, and I think we're both kind of on the same page with this, is like, I think if we can get rid of the openness of us talking or other shops talking to each other now and everybody sharing everything, is that we should all, I think the stigma of that, like I said, that dick measuring contest of like, how many employees do you have? What square footage is your building? Like all that stuff is kind of going away. I don't hear that as much anymore. I like more, like I get more of like a rush to hear like a shop like you talk about like, yeah, like I did this with this much work with this many less employees and this square footage. Like, you know what I mean? It's more efficiency gets me going. Like I get my rocks off knowing like things are more efficient. And
I think sometimes it's not just measuring your shop against, the contrast of other shops. I think as far as like how successful you are, I think sometimes people are asking questions though, like how many square foot do you have or how many autos? I think sometimes they're looking for maybe a blueprint of how to grow their, maybe they're at a level where they're not making much profit and they need a little bit more to hit their budget.
But if they're asking that, they shouldn't be there. They shouldn't get to that. They shouldn't be trying to go to that point.
What do you mean?
I just feel like if you're just like not even close to being like, oh, well, I need a warehouse and I need 10 autos and I need this, then their reach is, I don't know what that saying is, but they're going after something they shouldn't have yet.
Okay,
it's like
maybe,
when people
maybe
like,
that's true, but I think that you're right. I think that some people are trying to measure their success and how big are you and I'm bigger or whatever. There's probably some of those egos out there for sure, right? There always will be. All I was saying is that I think sometimes I have conversations with people and they ask me, like how many autos or how big is your team? And they're looking for an answer because they're trying to determine if their team is big enough also, and if their efficiencies are set. I think sometimes it's not just, maybe it's a legit question. It's not always, that's my only point. But, and back to the thing when you said, do you, working from home and say you're working from home half the time or whatever, do you miss the hustle of, what it's like to the always like pedal to the metal, action packed day. And I think that for me, that I loved that, I fed off of that. Like I would rather be doing nothing else than show up early to work, barely light, maybe it's still dark, and then get in there and then, do stuff and then go home exhausted and, make some dinner, fall asleep, and then do the same thing the next day. And I think that was great, on my 30s and my 40s, at some point though, Dylan, at some point,
I'm making a note. Go ahead.
At some point, I think that it shifts and you're like, look, I've invested all this time. I've made some sacrifices too. And I think that I need to, shift. My balance is out of whack. I mean, I think your work-life balance in maybe your 30s is different than your work-life balance in your 40s. That's my only point to that. And I think all of a sudden you won't miss the rat race as much.
No, yeah. And I think the conversation is just happening more now, and so we're not, and then people like, even our employees are changing. Like we have to realize we print for a lot of, like, we're almost 100% San Antonio based. We don't have any customers outside of San Antonio. So we know a lot of our customers by name. So we eat at a lot of their restaurants and drink at their breweries and all that stuff, right? There's this one place called Guillermo's in downtown San Antonio. They've been around forever. And every time we go there, they just have this amazing talent. Like they have very good looking people. They have very, very experienced people. Like their managers are always these like young kids and stuff, and we're just like, and then one day, like after going there for 10 years, and you're like, man, what does he pay them? And how does he attract this? But I realized they would always only be there for like a year or two. And then there would be a new, like, it wasn't this like emergency replacement that doesn't know what they're doing. It was just like the next time, because every time we deliver, he gives us a free meal. So then we just, hey, ask for this kid, and for a couple of years, it was this kid. And then the next couple, and then we just, anyway, long story short, we realized like these kids are here to learn. Like they're working for Guillermo because they want to learn the game. They're not here to stay for their whole life. Like that's, like, things are just shifting. Like, but if you do find one that's okay with being a support and not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. It's a big thing nowadays. And that's been shoved down these new kids' throats a lot. Like everybody should start their own business. Well, there's just not enough, there's not enough of it out there. Like, and if you're not wired that way, then I wish I was wired to just punch in, 7 to 10 hours a day and then just not worry about any of the rest of it. But it's just, I'm just not, I can't do that, So anyway, we're realizing that talent rolls through and then you should be happy to release them to go do their own thing and support them. So we're finding ourselves hiring artists now, like that Printavo event that we just went to, the Print Hustlers last year. They talked to those people about their interview processes. And that was really cool because that's the way we interview. But, until you hear somebody professional say it, you always doubt yourself. Like, man, I don't really care what you know about screen printing. I kind of want to know what you do. Like, you want to go skate afterwards, or do you fish, or do you hunt, or like, you know what I mean? Like those are the things that I was interested in. Or if you call yourself an artist, like I already know everything about screen printing. I just want to know more what you do after you leave here. And if your answer is like, I just get drunk all day, well, probably not going to hire you, dude. But if they want to learn about printing and they're in art classes and they're, you see them that they're learning about life, then I think you want to get those people on your team, And our girl Caitlin right now that she started. I mean, green, I didn't think she was going to last there a week, and she was just, and she's running our shop now, so don't doubt, like, just, people who are driven more than people who say they know stuff, I guess is what we've learned also too over COVID, it's just but if we're supposed to step back, and I guess that's the kind of that we're starting to realize, like, even though that we thought we were quitting or I thought I was quitting, or I was just leaving my wife and my team hanging, it gave me time just to kind of hover over the shop and see the moving parts instead of just being like in the mix all day long, and then really like stumping their growth, I think,
Yeah, I think there's been a shift. I think it was happening before COVID. And I think there's even a greater shift now. We're in a labor crisis, I don't think, I don't see it improving maybe for a long time, we're, as a population, we're downsizing even, the boomers are aging out and young people, they don't want to work as much, and how can you blame them? Yeah. And so I think that, I think the idea of downsizing, or at least the idea of being more efficient, isn't necessarily because you don't want to deal with HR, you don't want to hire people, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's more of out of necessity, because if you wanted to stay at your same volume, you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to automate. You're going to have to get a robot of some sort, you know what I mean, within your shop. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to stay at that volume. And a lot of people, they're okay with downsizing because maybe their expenses are in line with that. But others, you kind of have to stay. You have to stay where you're at in order for it to all the numbers to flow, right? And so how do you do that? And I think you do that through automation. And whether that's automation, with equipment, or automation with software, or whatever it is, I think people have to take a really hard look at their small business and understand that this is happening. I was not to say there's great people out there, because we have a bunch of them here. Yeah. But it's just harder, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. But I think you'll know right away, like when you have the right people, like I think we know, like after the second week, our son's the newest one. He just graduated high school, and I asked him to work with us for a year before he did anything else. And he's been there his whole life. I mean, we opened the shop when she was pregnant with him, so he's been there since before day one, So he knows it very well. But there's just talent out there. And I just think we all want this commitment for somebody to be like, all right, if I'm going to train you, I want you to be here for like 5 years. Like, you're not going to get that from these kids anymore. They want to see stuff, and they want to travel, and they want to do things. And that was the other reason that we went to the 4-day work week, because the agreement is Monday is a super chill day. We come in as owners and we talk and hang out, ask about their weekend. I mean, we'll talk about work, but if it's all spot color, basic jobs, we don't really need to talk about it. It's more just talking about the weekend and catching up. Yeah. What we did, what they did. And then yes, about work or PMS colors or a customer who's going to come do a press check or whatever. And then we chill and we let them run with it. And then we just let them, and we've been letting them learn. And there's been mistakes happening, more mistakes probably in the last, honestly, like 6 weeks because we pulled out so much, but every mistake, like it's been a time, like even right before we got on the show, I was talking with them about how we're going to approach it differently to make sure that we don't get again, even though a color that I didn't write notes on was adjusted on press, like, dude, where's the sample at? Like who didn't cut out a sample and throw it in the art bag, So stuff like that. And we had a sample in the shop. Like, why are you going to check the sample after you do the print run? Like, it just didn't make sense. Like, do it before you do it. It's not what you do, it's when you do it a lot of the times too,
One thing we found that's kind of, and we've done this for quite a long time, but one thing we're finding nowadays that saves our ass with, like, we were talking about the newer generation of people that want to work or whatever. And I'm finding too that it's not necessarily just like an age group. It's everybody. I feel like it's just a mindset now of how people want to work and how often they want to work, whatever is the trial period. Like we right now are trying to hire 2 people and we've done 3 different week trial periods for, basically QC and at the end of the dryer. And like having someone in that you think is going to be great, you're like, man, this person's going to do awesome. And then by the end of the week, you're like, I don't really know. Like, I don't really think this is going to work out. And then we try out somebody else for the next week. And then we're like, oh, this person has filled in here before. They'll be great. And then at the end of that week, you're like, you know what? I kind of like the first person more, or should we try a new person or whatever? So I think doing the trial week has been awesome because we're all in agreement. Like we tell them beforehand, we're like, hey, we're going to try you out for a week. And then you at the end, it's for them just as much as it's for us. It's like, hey, at the end of this week, like you let us know if this is what you want to do. Like if you're comfortable, like tell us now, please, because
it's kind of like
I don't want to find out in 3 weeks. Yeah. I don't want to find out in 3 weeks that you hate this fucking position.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be here. Like, it's nothing against me. It's nothing against you. Just like, you might not want to be grabbing hot shirts off the end of the dryer all day long. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. We've done something similar. We do like a trial. It's a little longer than a week, but we, and then we've been able to weed out some people that just aren't going to make it. They just can't hack it. But there's also times where we started somebody in a position and we see potential there, but so we kind of move them around and
put them somewhere else. Yeah, we've done that too.
If they show up and Dilly was hanging and they're interested in screen printing and like their game, like we could fit them somewhere. But the main thing is showing up and showing interest. If
we had one last week.
Then they're out.
We had one last week where they came in 10 minutes late for their first day, and Bill came into my office and he was like, dude, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I kind of know this person. And then he's like, if they're not here in 5 minutes, like I'm going to wait by the door. And as soon as they get here, I'm going to tell them to turn around and go home.
Wow. Yeah.
And then it was like, when they came in, they were like, oh, sorry, I'm late, whatever. And they just were like, I'm just one of those people that's going to be like 5 to 10 minutes late every day. I was like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, that's not what you say on your first day.
Yeah.
And again, that was like, you don't know, like, you don't want to tell this person you're hired, like put in your 2 weeks at your other job and like, get us your paperwork, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I would rather just pay them cash under the table for the first week. And then at the end of the week, be like, thanks for the help for the week, but we don't think it's the right fit.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else.
Here's the thing, like that says a lot about that person. If I'm just one of those people that are going to be 5 to 10 minutes late, then that says a lot about how much you care about this job. That's coming here. It's not just the fact that you have a tough time getting somewhere on, when you should be there. It's just saying, hey, if this was really important to you, if you really cared about like working here, then you'd fucking be here.
Yeah.
And I don't think they understand that I can't treat one person differently than others. And so if there's a bunch of people here and everybody's here on time, but then that person is just, I'm just one of those people. Well, then how is that fair to everybody else? It's just not going to work. So I would instantly say, we're one of those people.
I'm just one of those people that lets you go right now. That's so funny that we both have this thing.
Put up with that.
We're one of those shops that fire on the first day. So sorry about that.
Yeah. That's weird.
I mean, just nip it in the bud and just move on.
right?
Yeah,
You want to
well,
let
we
them
did.
go that day. Like they wouldn't be there unless you were needing the help. So it sucks.
Yeah.
Like you spent time interviewing them. You should.
The other thing that's funny is like we do this as a test and it weeds out people immediately. And it's so simple and stupid, but it's like we always post job postings on like Facebook.
Yeah.
And the one thing I say in the job posting is like email us. Like I don't say anything else. I'm not like whatever. I'm just like email this email address with your info, whatever else.
Yeah.
And people always send a Facebook DM or they send me a text. Or they whatever. And I was like, you rule like the first test was for you to follow instructions to email me your info.
Yeah.
So as soon as I get a DM or whatever, I'm like, you failed already. Like you were
and
not.
The top of their resume is they pay attention to detail, and you're like, no, you don't.
Yeah, it's like, dude, like literally
response on our Facebook and Instagram, or maybe Instagram,
Yeah.
but it says we don't monitor this very much. So email us at this email address. And I still get constant DMs, and I'm like,
we'll have a friend be like, "Hey, you told me to reach out to your homie," and then we did, and they never even responded. And I was like, "Well, where did you reach out through?" And like, "Well, it was a DM or Facebook or whatever." And we're like, "Well, did you get that automated response that says that we don't respond to like any business, like inquiries to our social platforms?" Like,
I don't care.
But we expected since we knew somebody, and you're like, I mean,
it's pretty annoying.
Yeah, it's whatever. But then I think those things just come with time. Like when I got those responses. Like when we were new to social media on Facebook or whenever, I don't remember the first platform, we were on MySpace or something. It was like we'd panic. Like somebody would say that and you'd be like, oh, they own a clothing line or they're a GM at some place. And then it was all panic in the old days. Nowadays, we're just like, well, then we're just not let's just not work together.
It's like whatever. So we talked a little bit before about how the downsizing and you guys said that you were a little of everything. What is your end goal?
It's kind of changed a little bit. We had talked about maybe selling eventually, but I think we have a new win, second win for the business and for printing in general. So we have some other ideas about, I guess, I don't know, just what we want to do moving forward. But we also have individual things that we haven't been able to achieve that. So I don't know, it's kind of maybe sometimes depending on how we feel that day, it changes. But,
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm genuinely interested in your answer. And I've asked Andy about this too. Just when you get to the point where you want to retire or you want to sell the business and do something else, whatever. My question is, if you have a shop that's basically running itself already anyway, why not just let it run itself and hire someone to be you?
Yeah.
And just fucking collect every week. Like you don't have to run it. You don't have to do anything. Hire a manager that does what you're doing currently. And then you just get a paycheck forever. And if why not do that? I don't understand. To me, that makes the most sense.
Yeah. But 5 years ago, I never thought I could have the team to do that, but I just wasn't willing to step away and let people grow in my shop. So I think we stump people more often than not. And I'm
we started that progress.
Yeah, we started that progress because it started with me in the garage. And I just sometimes when I just get out of their way, dude, I come into the shop on Thursdays and Fridays and look at our sample prints and I'm just like, damn, we're good. It's fun to feel that way because 5 or even 10 to 5 years ago, I was just beating up every print. I would look for something wrong with every print instead of looking for all the things.
I mean, I get that, but to me, it's you spent X amount of years building this company, and I get people are just like, I'm done. I built it to this thing. My end goal is to just sell it and then collect that money and be like, I'm going to do this other life thing. But it's like, why not this thing that you built that runs? Why not just let it run? And I guess Andy, the question is for you too. How do you feel about that? Would you rather just be like, I'm done with it, or would you rather just be like, this is my baby that runs over here while I do my other passion now? What do you think?
I think that on one hand, you're right. I mean, why sell a business that's profitable and that is running? It just doesn't make sense, right? I mean, that's illogical, maybe.
I just feel like you could easily go do another career now. You could hire somebody to field emails and make sure the shop doesn't burn down.
Yeah. I think you're 100% correct. I mean, that's where we're at. I don't mean to cut them off. I don't mean to cut you, but you're right. That before we shut it all down, why don't we give ourselves the opportunity to see if this baby could walk on its own? That's where we're at right now. And
I just feel like you could take your money and time and do your new
Yeah.
passion or whatever you want to do, but then you have that safety net of I'm collecting X amount of dollars from my business every
It's a team.
fucking week.
I mean, it takes a team. It takes a little village to make that place work. I mean, it's a small village at this point, but it's still a group of 5 people that have to agree on what we want to do that day, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I think a lot of it also too is just getting our customers used to talking to somebody else, being responded to from somebody else.
yeah.
I've been in the mix as far as sales wise for several years now. So for me to pass that on to somebody else, which I want to, but it just takes time. It takes a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not saying do it tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? Like, here's the see you. I'm saying transition maybe over a year and get a hold of all your customers and be like, I just want to go fucking be on a boat.
Well, yeah, no, for sure. And so ask us about that in November of 2024, and we'll
Yeah.
tell you what we
That
decided.
we've given
Like,
ourselves a time.
and our employees are completely aware of it. They know that, hey, November, and we won't. And so we have some ideas in the mix. We're probably going to rebrand. We just moved recently our home, but the home has a spot for a creative studio on the same property. So that's the goal. Like whether we keep this thing kind of on rails and just let it run itself, or we downsize all the way to a small manual shop and our studio space behind our home. Like that either way is the goal. It's just whether we'll have access to a production facility that's being run by other people is our new goal. So,
Right.
So that's what the journey that we're on right now. That, I mean, everybody's welcome to watch. Like, we don't have the answer, and I don't even know. Like, I think at this point with the team we have in place, I think we will go beyond year 20, but I think it would be super baller and gangster to just shut my shop down in November 2024.
Right.
Or I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter right now. Like but I think post-COVID, that's the spirit we're in right now. Like, and we're also grew up punk. Like, we're not fucking posers, dude. Like, we really don't give a shit. Like, every time we accumulate money, we go buy something cool, or like, we're bought a property we don't really need right now. We're going to move my parents into our home that's paid off, and let's go do it all over again. So
I think that doing is easier than saying, maybe, because, you can say that I'm going to have a manager run this, but in our case, it's going to take several managers. And so there has to be an embroidery manager. There needs to be a shipping receiving manager. There needs to be a production manager. There needs to be an operations manager, customer service manager, design team manager. I mean, and so
But don't you already have that?
We do. But what happens if one moves to Texas? Or what happens if one is pregnant, or, and decides to stay home and homeschool, or what? And if that happens once, cool. Well, then you promote, and you find somebody else out there to fill a role. But that takes time. And what happens if all of a sudden 3 people leave at once?
Right. But I'm saying you hire someone that does exactly what you do now. Like, then that person would just hire a new person and whatever. Like, literally, you're hiring a you.
how big are y'all's teams right now on both y'all's shops? How many employees on y'all's shops? Don't mind me asking.
What are you at now?
We're at 26.
Wow.
And
I'm at
I
10
think,
and going to be at 12.
So
Okay.
I think that, and we're all small businesses, and as a small business, HR is hard, and so you're right. I could find somebody that potentially does a lot of what I do. I mean, the person's out there, but you have to, and maybe they're here. Maybe they're here now, and they fill that role. But I think that there are some people that can have a business or have multiple businesses, and that's their thing. But there are other people that go all in when they do something. And so maybe it is that I think the answer to the question is that there's different types of people. And I think there's types of people that can have a business and it can operate, and they can manage it, and they can do it for 1 hour a month or whatever it's going to take. And I think there's other people that just say, hey, this is a thing I worked on for a while, and now I don't want to work on it anymore at all. Yeah. And I want to move to this next thing so that I can really focus all in on that thing, And so I think they're both okay. I think they're both, they both will work.
I agree with that. I agree with that fully. I mean, it depends on the person and what you want to do. It's just my personal question was, I don't know. I just feel like to a degree, the shop runs itself. Like, I mean, I know for my shop, like it basically runs itself. Like, I have key people in place, but I mean, I don't want to, I mean, it sounds shitty, but I feel like I could hire someone to do what I do, like
Okay,
go for
time out,
bigger
though.
clients or marketing or whatever.
Time out.
It's not going to be the same vibe necessarily, but
Just 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, for at least 2 or 3 weeks, you were in at press. You were in overtime. In fact, you were there at night. You know,
Yeah.
you were on press. You were making screens or doing that kind of stuff. Why? Because you had somebody gone. And so my point is that, yeah, you could hire in, but I mean, you're gonna have to hire in a pretty big bench, you know, to be there that say, hey, if so-and-so's
You're saying I'm
gone, and no, if, you know, these two people, if this key role person is gone, which they will be, even if, you know, they don't,
I'm just saying
quit,
the
they're gonna
person
be,
obviously is going to have to be paid really, really well because they're going to have the company on their shoulders.
Yeah. That's where it goes to, right?
So so we're kind of in that, coming up to that situation because we're a much smaller team than y'all are. We're only 5 even with us included right now. So, and Caitlin is going to be going on vacation next week.
Yeah.
So right there, that my main person is gone. That means I'm 100% have to be responsive to everybody that's coming through.
Yeah.
Even in the shop again, I probably have to be there just in case, you know,
and so to
whatever.
Dylan's point, the only way around that is to hire somebody to do what you're just getting ready to do. And so you have to have the budget for that and a big budget for that. And so if you're okay with that, then yeah, you would have somebody in place. Yeah.
But we're also okay with going in when she's out for a week and a half if she's keeping us at home 75% of the time the rest of the year.
Exactly.
So that's the balance, I think. That's why it's important to be passionate about what you do. Like if we were just selling potatoes or skates or whatever, then it wouldn't matter. Then anybody could do that. But really the problem with printing is that most of us, this is our baby. We've been there for most of us over 10 years, and you don't just like let your kid go on with some, and that's why we won't sell it. Like we've been approached to be bought, but they want the name, they want the social, and I'm like, I won't sell my name and I won't sell the social. Like that's my diary of what I've built over the last 20 years. It's not a money thing. Like it's not for sale. And
I think the reason why I bring it up that way is because I think I'm in a position in my personal life where I want to start branching off or investing in other things other than screen printing. Like I've been thinking of other business, like I'm already doing like real estate stuff.
Nice.
But I kind of am like, what is this other thing I could do? I've always talked about doing the movie theater, which I still want to do 100%. I'm just waiting for like the spot to open up. But I'm like, what else can I do? What else can I get into? Because when COVID happened, especially, I was like, this whole thing can go up overnight. Like the shop basically could shut down and business money dries up basically for some reason. Say something happens where, you know, t-shirts, let's all be honest, like our t-shirts are not necessary. Like people don't have to buy t-shirts. Right. Yeah. And the first thing it goes with a company, and that's why the whole, you know, our industry was slow as hell for the last year is because the first thing to go on everybody's budget is the t-shirts.
Yeah.
The marketing budget when they don't need to spend money. And it's like, I want to have other irons in the fire if that ever was to happen. So that's why I said like the real estate thing's nice because people always need a place to live and whatever. So I'm saying like, if you're like, all right, I want to sell the screen printing thing, screw it, I'm done. I'm going to start a new business. Yeah. What if that new business doesn't work out? I know you're a great business person, but businesses don't always work out, even if you're great at it.
Yeah.
My thing was like, if this is running and making me money and I'm passionate, my new passion is bottling soda and I want to start a soda bottling company. I could go do that, but why not keep this going to have money for groceries and my mortgage? And
that's why I'm saying the passion of printing, that's where that comes in, because when you do get a call or you do get an email like, hey, Caitlin, and that's the other thing too, like she was going out for a week and then she was like, well, I'm going to be in Colorado and then I'm supposed to be back next Tuesday, but can I just go in and get the rest of the week? And the answer at our shop is always yes. Like we don't ever ask, like if there's a family thing going on, anything that has to do with family or friends visiting, that's, you know, those key moments where hey, my friend's in from New Orleans, like in San Antonio for the day. Can I have like, yes, go, like they're t-shirts, you know, but so I think it's a big, like event of things that helps you position yourself that way. And I think we're all right. We're all correct. Like, you know, and then our businesses are all very different. I mean, it's very cool to like be a team of 5, a team of 12, and a team of 23. And I think we can all definitely learn from each other and balance each other out, you know? So, but I would encourage you to do the bottling of sodas or the making
theater.
them.
That is a real thing, by the way. I didn't just pull that out of my ass. Like
The movie theater.
I've been
Yeah.
thinking about making. Well, I'm doing the movie theater, but I've been really thinking about making, like, at least starting with root beer. Like I kind of wanted to make like a artisan like soda company or something.
But if you get a phone call that you're like you got a rush order, you're gonna make a bunch of money. You're not gonna be angry driving to your shop, correct?
Right. No.
Then do both. Yeah, and that's where we're at. Let's.
Oh, I'm definitely not going away from screen printing. Like I'm not
Good.
putting that out there that like Dylan's
Good.
thinking about hiring someone to replace himself. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like in general, like if I ever get to that point, I don't know if I would necessarily just be like, I'm sold, gone, whatever. I would.
And that's a good shift. And I think that usually, like, I feel like, I feel like, I got year 10, when we got to year 10, I was one signature away from joining the San Antonio police force because I was burned out. I was doing tons of contract work, low margins. And then she was singing that song, like, okay, I guess you want to be a cop, or like, it was just pure exhaustion. We were just printing way too much for not enough money. And we were even small back then. So it wasn't the size of the team. I was working with my best friend at the time from high school. We were having a blast all day long, and we were skating after work, and we're going to have drinks with the team. And, it was fun, but it was all the wrong work. It was way too many hours for not enough mony. So I think we're just in that magic spot where we've done all the things, and now we've realized what works for us, the size that we like. And I really wish, I guess in year 10, I got on YouTube, and I was like, I just don't use online stuff that much. But I got on YouTube and we found a shop in Florida called Real Thread. And man, those people inspired me to stay open. Like we drove to Florida that year to go to Disney, and like, I drove by their shop just to hopefully catch some of that energy that I saw that they were putting in their YouTube videos. And at the time I was like on a mission. I was like, all right, well, if we're staying open, we're buying new equipment. That's when we brought in the sabers because I was a javelin guy since the late 90s. I love flashbacks. I know how to use them well. But then we brought in the stuff, and I was like, and I want to be really good at water-based printing. So I think you also have to challenge yourself too. Like if you're just doing the same thing every day, then cool. But I'm also done. Like I don't want to learn. I mean, it's not that I don't want to learn new techniques. I want to try different things. Like you're saying, I want to.
You got re-inspired.
Yeah, exactly. So year 10, we brought in all the new equipment. We learned how to water-based print. We learned how to do foil. We did, custom tagging, all the fun stuff that was new to San Antonio that nobody was doing when we first started, So I think you just kind of reinvent yourself and push yourself with new things. So I think the new thing for us, it's not almost like, I also don't want it to come across like we're like, oh, let's shit on this and let's just get away and we're tired and we're bored. It's more like we're like, I think we're all like in the same like spectrum of thinking, but just different size shops. Like, yes,
that makes
sense. Thing is making us good money, and it could support. And even talking with other people in the industry, like I've heard of bigger companies, way bigger than ours, that say that they are only open these days to employ people because they care about their employees too much. There was a time during COVID where we just didn't want to let our people go. Like after our employee died, Ted, then again, I was out, and then she kind of rose to the occasion and took it to a whole nother level. And so there's all these silver linings. So I guess we're just
there's a lot of ways to run a business.
Of course, 100%.
You answered the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's dive into some over-unders.
I have 7 things here, and you just let us know if you think they're overrated, underrated, or properly rated. And the first one is stuffed peppers.
Stuffed peppers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think if you cook them right, they're underrated. Like jalapeno poppers or something.
Anything. So
no,
green
like
pepper,
bell peppers,
red pepper.
right?
Yeah, bell peppers.
Oh no, I'm overrated. I think bell peppers. Yeah.
I think, I prefer them by themselves. So I think they're overrated. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love. I'm with you, Andy. I don't know. I'm guessing you're on team bell pepper.
I'm on team stuffed bell peppers. I love bell peppers, but we went to Costco.
Of course you did.
Last weekend, of course I did, and they had 6 stuffed peppers, and we had them 3 nights in a row, and they are absolutely fabulous, and so I highly recommend them. Underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I have.
Oh no! What were they stuffed with?
It was like a.
Usually it's like a ground beef and cheese and rice or something.
And
right?
rice. Oh, nice. Those 3 exact things right there. Yeah. Cheese, beef, rice. You put them in the oven for 50 minutes and it was glorious.
It's basically, like a saucy burrito in a bell pepper.
Exactly. It's a healthy burrito without minus. It's a low carb burrito. That's why you lost 14 pounds. You're eating low carb.
Yeah, there you go. It's part of it.
Nice.
Number 2, we have Procreate.
I never use it. I think it's
either.
Never used it.
Overrated? Because I think somebody tried to send me a Procreate file recently, and they couldn't. I don't know. They couldn't give me a PNG.
They must have
or
saved it
something.
wrong.
The reason why I would say it's probably on the cusp of properly rated is I like that it's a cool way, like a cheap and easy way for somebody to learn how to get into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you can upgrade to like Photoshop or something.
Yeah.
Because I remember back when I first started, it was just like cracked version after cracked version of Photoshop because I couldn't afford the whatever one disc. Now it's nice because you can just pay the monthly fee and have like the cloud-based Photoshop. But back then it was like, I had like an $800 copy of Photoshop.
Yeah,
and it was like you would just get a cracked version from somebody and put it in. So I think isn't Procreate free or is relatively cheap or something?
I have it as underrated because I think that, our team uses it daily, and Joanne loves it. And so she gets on her iPad and that's how she's creating the Women of Screen Printing, design. She also has Photoshop, but she's in Procreate drawing it. I think it's great.
Quicker, more efficient than, right? You don't need all those tools. Like Photoshop, well, what do we use? Like 5% of what it, so
that's true. Like, I think you need both.
Well, I think it's underrated because I'll say that I love that it gives us a starting point. I hate napkin scratches or just like sketches or a phone call. Like they try to describe the unicorn design that's in their head. Like, dude, just get on Procreate and send me something. At least we have a starting point. So I think it's underrated.
Okay.
Got it. Number 3 is Ready Whip.
Overrated.
Ready Whip? Overrated. I can make way better.
But it's ready. It's already ready.
But it doesn't taste good. I'm willing to wait for the real stuff.
I don't like any of the whipped. I don't like Cool Whip or even what is it? Out of the can, Ready Whip, basically.
My daughter eats it out of her, like she'll like just.
Oh yeah.
Her mouth.
Yeah. There's a difference between that and Whippets, though. I mean, what are we talking about?
No, she's not doing Whippets. Ready Whip. Yeah, it's Ready Whip.
That's why she's always laughing when
she's ready to do Whippets, is what she is.
No.
So at our household, there's always a can of Ready Whip available, and it is the keto-friendly, 0 sugar added Ready Whip, and so
it's just white air in a can.
It's delicious.
That's so funny.
But you're probably right that it's easy if you happen to have cream around the house or half and half or whatever you use, and you can just make it quickly, then it's better, of course. But
that's true. I make a lot, so I have a lot of that stuff around pretty often.
Next, and this is from Joanne. I asked her last night for an over/under, and she chose astrology.
Oh, way underrated.
I think underrated. Yeah.
We talking about like real science, or are we talking about fucking holding the crystal on your forehead?
Real science, astrology, Dylan.
Okay, real science, yes.
So underrated.
That's all we're gonna say. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Underrated.
Underrated. Yeah.
Okay. All right, number.
Go ahead.
Like our ancestors used to pay very close attention to what all that meant, and nowadays people are just like, oh, they're just stars up there. Like, dude, people used to navigate oceans with stars. You know what I mean? Like, they're kind of important. You might want to pay attention a little bit. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that. I just don't want people to be like, well, my feelings are based on this thing. It's like,
I think it got ruined along the way to some degree by people overgeneralizing, but I think that you're right. I think it's underrated too. Next, robots.
Underrated, I think.
Depends on the robot.
Man, robots.
Chappy?
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about robots. I guess underrated. Yeah, they're cool.
I mean, we all have robots.
Yeah.
Doing something for us to some
I
degree.
should say specifically like robots, So we have software robots now.
Humanoid robots?
Yeah, doing tasks that, people do. And so I think useful tasks. And so I think that there's a wave coming soon. I think we're 5 years away from buying a robot for our house. And you can buy it cash or you can buy it like a car and you say, hey, I'm going to make payments, but you're going to have robots doing shit for you. Realistic.
Straight iRobot coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I think maybe first it happens in, commercially, and then it comes to our houses, and we'll see.
I saw a thing the other day. There was an article online. And again, this is like reading on the internet, so don't fucking quote me, but it's like, within 10 years or 10 years from now, the expected life expectancy is 100 to 120.
Damn.
Probably if you're, depends on what age you are, though,
Yeah. For kids born these days, or like for us?
Right.
I don't know. I'm guessing born these days.
Yeah.
Would be because they would have every advantage, basically, like all the medical advantages from being a child to an adult would be 100 to 120.
And I also think they'll live longer because they're learning, well, at least we're teaching, like the main things I think that we try to impart to our kids: stop stressing about stuff that doesn't matter, because we spent too much of our life doing that, And
I think the reasoning behind it is they're just going to 3D print your body parts. So
there you go.
It's probably
for
true.
Forever if you can just keep making it.
A new heart, new liver, something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a show on Netflix, and it was about blue zones. And so blue zones happened about maybe 40 or 50 years ago. Somebody documented where people were living the longest, and they would put a blue dot where anyone lived to be 100. And they're like, okay, well, this city has, oh, you're watching it now? Yeah, it's like 4 episodes.
You watched a couple of episodes.
I think I watched the first one about in Japan, wasn't it? The first episode?
Yeah. I thought it was really interesting. And they have, so when this person put a blue dot on the map of the world, all of a sudden he started putting a lot of blue dots in the same spot, and it would turn into like a blob, and they called it a zone. And so one of the zones, which I thought was really fascinating, was Sardinia in Italy. And so he'll go and he'll say, okay, well, why are people living here really long? Is it the diet, or, like, what is it exactly? And it happened to be there. It correlated to the steepness of the village. And so at all times, these people, whether they were going upstairs to their house or to the store, a lot of people walked because there weren't as many roads. They would walk, and they walked uphill, and they also walked downhill, and they just did that every single day over decades. Which
was that where that saying came from, where they walk to school uphill both ways?
Yeah, probably. And so the exercise, like it came down to, one of the things is actually there's like 4 things in each blue zone that he talked about and discusses, which is really neat. I highly recommend the series because it's really interesting. And he tried to replicate blue zones, and he just picked a random town, and it was in Minnesota. And he went there and he said, hey, so, I've learned these things and let's try them. And so they actually did. And watch the show. It was pretty neat. And so my point of telling that story is that if we all have robots doing our laundry and making our food and making our bed and doing all of these things, vacuuming, then we're going to die way sooner because
it's Wall-E. It's Wall-E, dude.
Yeah. Wall-E, yeah. Oh, that movie was so terrible. That was the most depressing movie I've ever seen in my life. Was Wall-E. That was really bad movie.
Exactly.
Okay. So number 6 is downsizing.
Oh, shoot.
Properly rated.
It's underrated. I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it. I think it could be on the realm of overrated for me, because I do really enjoy the grind of it. And it was very hard for me to let go, but I'm glad I'm on the other side of it, because it was just so I honestly wish that I could. It was always my goal to run a big shop like Growth Red, because they were the ones who inspired me. But I saw right away when we had 10 people and 2 autos, like, dude, you're just not cut out for this. But I just don't beat myself up for it anymore, because it doesn't take that. But I'm not mad at the people who do that. I don't want it to be like, oh, this is the right way to run a shop. I'm just saying, listen to your gut. That's it,
Yep.
And just find balance, with working out, with eating right. But then also, if we meet you guys one day somewhere, let's go eat tacos at 2:00 in the morning and drink lots of alcohol, But don't do that again on Monday and then Tuesday and then Thursday when you and your wife get an argument, But then that's when shit goes sideways, I think, So that's, go ahead.
Are we talking about downsizing, like that movie with Matt Damon, where they shrink you down to like a tiny little human, and then real estate is you can buy a house for like
Downsizing
$4?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So but it's overrated. It was hard. It was hard for me. She loved it, and she's always wanted to go that route. I think her favorite thing is we're down to 3 contractors, where at one point we had like 16. And so now, and then we just been chopping them like left and right. Like, it's been fun, But the last 3 that we're with, they appreciate us. They say thank you. They give us proper turn time. They give us print ready artwork. But that was a big struggle because I used to do all of that for free 5 years ago for them because they were my friends or whatever. Now it's just like my time's just not free anymore. I'm sorry. Like I just value. It's not that it's not that I'm devaluing our friendship. I just value my time and my health more than you saving money. Yeah.
And your marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. My marriage and my kids. Spending time with them. So
Right.
It's been a lot of balance lately, but. Downsizing is overrated. If you can manage it and do what you're doing and find that balance, like we sold a gas dryer one time. We bought a gas dryer that just wasn't the right fit for our shop. And I sold it to a guy in Georgia. And he's nowhere to be found on Instagram. He runs like 15 autos. And his business is 100% automated. And this guy used to work for IBM and he really inspired me too. He's one of the people who inspired me to keep going after year 10 or after year 14, I guess, when we had our 13th anniversary or something like that. But he travels the world and does whatever he wants. But he's contract only, which everybody hates on contractors. But they have to fill out a form. They basically input their order, upload artwork, and I'm like, dude, you run 10 autos. What do you have? Like 30 employees? It's like, dude, I have like 2 order processors, and the rest of there's 1 person on press and 1 person catching on every machine. And it's just like there's never any rejects because they approve their own artwork. So he builds a system. I don't have the brain power. I'm not an IBM guy. I don't even barely know how to use my phone, but it's out there and that exists. And that's basically where we're headed. Is like, let's automate this the best we can. It makes money. Let's keep it going. But it was hard. Anyway, long story, overrated because it was very hard and it crushed me for a while.
Last one is, and also not least though, yoga.
Ooh, that one's fun.
I'm not flexible.
I think it's underrated. I think it's been big for us the past couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah, underrated for sure. Yoga's tough. It looks like soft and it's not. Man, kick your ass.
Yeah, I'm going at 2:00. I'm leaving here for the day and going to my very first personal yoga session because we do shirts right down the street for a shop or for a fitness center. And she was in here and she knows I hurt my back and she's like, well, let me look, I have like thousands of hours of training specifically for this. It's on me. Come here for like a couple weeks and see if we can get you anywhere. And I'm like, I'm terrified because like, I do some minor exercising, but I certainly don't do yogas, but she knows specifically, like what kind of moves I should be doing. And so I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm
more excited because I want to hear the story afterwards about how awful it was.
Right.
I'd be pleasantly surprised. I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah.
Well, Mike and Marissa, thanks guys. Thanks for talking shop with us. It's always fun. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it's good seeing you.
Yeah, it's good seeing you.
Thanks for taking time out of your Wednesday and your working from home schedule.
Yes. Yeah, it took a lot to get here. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do a follow-up like next right before our 20th and we'll let you know. We're just like,
you'll be on a boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we might have a shop for sale for real cheap at either yard. Interesting.
Okay. We'll list it for sale on here.
It's on here. Yep. On Facebook.
We'll talking to you guys, man. It's a lot of fun.
Bye guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.